Let's start the program with the question about South African camp, the cancellation of it. You mentioned that because you don't have 2 or 3 players, it's been cancelled. It's been mentioned.
It is very clear. The South Africa camp is part of our major special preparation program for World Cup Brazil. This camp was designed special and specific to support our local players, to erase the capacity and ability of our players to compete in that level. That's why we put this South African program to erase the potential of our players, local players. Special because we draw Nigeria, so I thought it was a good idea and a convenient idea, the right program to create this African environment, play against 4 African teams and help our local players to be more familiar with the atmosphere that they're going to face in the first game against Nigeria. The second reason why we designed this program, it is because with my experience and my knowledge of international football, I do believe that our local players with the present intensity and level of training and competition in Iran, they are not ready to compete in that level. They need to work more and they need to be engaged in a special program. Nigeria players, Bosnian players, Argentina players, they are playing in one environment where they have, I only give 2 figures, they have an average run per game between 10-12 kilometers per each game. German league, Spanish league, England league, where Bosnians, Nigerians and Argentinians, they are playing, Italy league, they have an active play time of 64 minutes. Asia have an average, and Iran an average of 52 minutes. So 12 minutes more active play in the environment where Bosnia and Nigeria and Argentina players are playing. These players, they get used to play in average per game more 12 minutes per game comparing with our Iranian players. According to the last data of Iranian football, the average of runs in our league, it is between 7 and 8 kilometers, comparing with the 10-12 kilometers of European-based players. The third reason that I designed this special program, it is because I carry in my shoulders the responsibility of 80 million Iranians in my shoulders. I don't talk on behalf of Fulad interest, Sepan interest, Estergal interest. I talk on behalf of Iranian fans, 80 million people that support the national team. That's why I believe and I propose the federation to make a special preparation, and they agree, and it is important to say, this decision is not made by Queiroz, this is a decision made by Cafagene and the board of the federation, the league board, to support this special program. So if you see our national team in this moment, we have 4 or 5 players in the starting 11, they are playing in Europe, they are playing in England, they are playing in Germany, they are playing in Holland, and I believe that these players, like the Argentinians and Nigerians, they are in the right environment. The other 4 or 6 players of our starting members, they are based in Iran. When I see 4 players from 6 out of 6 going out of Iran and not be able to participate in this camp doesn't make sense for me. It doesn't make sense to spend time, spend money, when the foundation of your team, the main foundation of your team is not with you. Second main reason, Shafi, it is this. We lack also totally financial support to prepare our national team. But because with my experience and my knowledge, I believe that we should have a special program in order to succeed in the World Cup. That's why I propose a special program. We play against the special players in the world. We must have a special preparation. And this decision was made by the board in Cafagene. Now the question it is, we don't have players, and we don't have the local players, and we don't have also financial support to keep going with our program. That's why I cancel and I propose to cancel the camp. And that's why I agree with the last comments and the instructions that I received yesterday from Mr. Cafagene and Mr. Nabi. They ordered me, they give me instruction to keep going with the program. And it was funny because he said, even if I keep going with the program in my garden. If you allow me, the question here, it is very simple. The question that I want to address to everybody in Iran, football fans, the authorities, with all respect, the Minister of Sport, Mr. Kafajani, it is, what are your expectations for the World Cup? What are the expectations of this country for the World Cup? To go there and make tourism and come back? To go there and jeopardize the options and the chances of the national team to succeed in the World Cup? Or you really want to take your chance to go there and come back with prestige, honor, and joy and success for the national team? That is the question that you need to address.
There's the recent most topic is you, Mr. Queiroz, mentioned, and we say that one goal in the World Cup could be a lot more valuable than any other titles in the ACL or any other titles. But for instance, coaches like Mr. Faraki, Fulat coach, he comes out and he says, league is at this place and World Cup is at the place. They're completely two different positions. What is your positions about that?
My opinion, it is exactly the same that I try to defend since the beginning. If you ask me that this schedule of the league was the schedule that I proposed, no. If you ask me if this solution was the solution that I try to implement, but the league make it different.
We see some pictures of
Yeah, but what is the meaning of these pictures? Nobody cares about it. I see the flag there, and my job here it is to defend exactly the expectations of 60 or 70 million people that are behind that flag. But it looks like we go to the World Cup, and you are more paying attention to one or two people that they defend their own interests above the national team. Let's be clear with this. I didn't postpone in the beginning of the league. The league was postponed at the beginning to protect the interest of one specific person and one specific club. The league is a mess of planning. Not is my fault, but is a league fault, and it is because to protect the interests of the clubs that go for Champions League.
His question is which club is that you're mentioning?
Well, everybody knows that the league was postponed under the interests of President Fatal Zadeh and Coach Galanoy. Oh. The same club that now is complaining that the league is compact was the same club that asked to postpone at the beginning of the league. But this is not about Carlos Queiroz. This is about President Royani, the president of this country, the former president Ahmadinejad, the Minister of Sport, the Federation. I hear all over the places that the Team Melli and the World Cup was the #1 priority of Iranian football this season. I didn't make that statement. They make that statement.
President Dr. Rouhani, the president of the nation, fulfilled his promises.
We went to a meeting where I heard that the #1 priority was the national team for this season due to the fact that Iran play the World Cup competition. But when the league stopped now 5 weeks to support the teams that go for Champions League, it's not because of the national team program that we are facing a mess in the league. It is because at the beginning we postponed the league to accommodate Mr. Fatal Zadeh and Mr. Galanoy. In the middle, we postponed games to accommodate Mr. Galanoy. Now we're going to stop the league to accommodate Mr. Galanoy and Mr. Kranjar. 5 weeks. This is the reason why the league and the season is a mess. So the question, it is very simple, and this is not me that I should answer, not me. If the national team, it is a top priority, and we are cancelled programs after programs because we don't have financial support. From where come the money to support Champions League, hotels, trips for the clubs? So the reality is the #1 priority, it is not the national team. The #1 priority, it is the Champions League. And I want that people know, especially Mr. Galanoy and Mr. Kranja, that I didn't agree with this system and what they did in the league. I didn't agree with that. If they need to complain, they need to complain against the people in the league that make this happen in this way. But let's talk about the most important thing. Let's talk about the most important thing. And the most important thing, it is, what are the expectations of Iranian football in the World Cup? That is the question.
هستش.
Mr. Karanjar come outside to say to talk about FIFA rules. I know better than him FIFA rules, much better. There is no one single person in this country that knows better than me what are FIFA rules, because I was part of the build-up of these rules. My challenge to the Minister of Sport and for Mr. Kafajan, it is this simple question. Do you think that FIFA cares or are worried with the success of Iran in the World Cup? Do you believe that the other nations that they didn't want us in the World Cup, they care about the success of Iran in the World Cup? Makes sense to listen a coach with international experience, 33 years of international experience, that I'm here defending the expectations of 80 million people, or here two coaches that are only defending them interests. So Mr. Kranjar, when he talks about the FIFA rules, I want to tell him very clear in front of all countries that FIFA rules were not made to defend the interests and the success of Iranian football. When he tried to compare German with Iranian football, I want to ask him in front of all the Iranian spectators, where did they see the league stop 5 weeks for Sepa and play Champions League? Where did they see in the world? To Mr. Kranjar and for the spectators and the fans that I am here to defend, I'm asking, this is the program. I ask the camera to put the camera and show this. If you're able to give me this picture, I want to show this to Mr. Kranjar and Mr. Kalana. To Mr. Kafajan, I want to show this if it is possible.
و همینطور آقای کفاشیان میخوام اینو بهشون نشون بدم این برنامه رو.
منو چرا نشون دادی؟
Not possible?
بگو.
دوست داشتم منو نشون بده. اینو بخوان. این اسکندریال رو بخوان. بله.
15 games. Korea national team.
15 بازی دوستانه تیم ملی کره انجام داده.
Since Korea in this game play against Iran, the Korean national team, they play 15 games, 10 teams from World Cup. I want to ask Mr. Kranjar if this program of Korea, it is under the FIFA rule.
We are zero comparing to Korea, right?
No, we are playing against teams that are not even qualified to Asian Cup. But if you're not happy with Korea, this is Japan program.
It's a pity we haven't even played the game.
Once again, Mr. Shafir, the question is very simple. And I want to say it very clear. This is not Carlos Queiroz national team. This is Team Melli national team. And my challenge to, with all respect, with my deep and art respect to the Minister of Sport that owns football in Iran, and my challenge to Mr. Kafajani, it is this, very simple. Should we follow the opinions and the program that I believe it is the best one for the national team, or should we follow the opinions of Mr. Kranjar and Mr. Galanoy? That's the decision. Dead or alive, I am sorry, this is me, this is Carlos Queiroz. Until Mr. Kafajan tell me to go home, I'm going to defend 80 million people, and I'm going to defend my ideas and what I believe it is the best for Team Melli in this nation. I want to say very clear in front of everybody.
The boys in the studio club.
I appreciate that, because when Mr. Kranjar and Mr. Galanoy are saying that we must follow FIFA rules, they're out of reality, and this is not the right way to support the national team. It is my humble opinion and my respectable opinion about what we should do.
Respected Minister of Sports and Youth, he has mentioned that whenever I see these gentlemen from the Football Federation, I tell them to come and collect the money from me, but they don't come and take the money from me. He's one of these old journalists, he's always very straight critic. He says, if Ando would have stayed, or if Pejman would have stayed, would we still have cancelled the South African camp? This was the second question.
Well, I was very upset when I saw Jabari go. I was not happy when I saw Pejman Montazeri go, but I really believe that we will be able to manage one way to engage them in the camp. But when I see the captain and the vice captain to leave this country with lack of support, the player that was the most influent player of Iran in the qualification, the player that scored more goals, the player that was nominated Asian Player of the Year, I realized something was wrong here. Mr. Shafi, let me just emphasize this point. With all respect, there is no doubts about this. I put Team Melli shirt in a better position and in a better place since I arrived to this country. We qualified for the World Cup in first position. Asia, Australia, #1 team in FIFA ranks. We have the right to say, on behalf of 80 million people, this is our time. This is our momento. I also try to teach in this country that the national team shirt, it is only a shirt that some people have the right, if they deserve, to go inside the shirt. They don't own the shirt. They don't are the shirt is not the property of the players. They are there to serve the team. But I don't understand, after we achieve all this success and also after we erase all the expectations and dreams of all these people, I don't understand why we are jeopardizing our expectations and our goals during the World Cup. And I say it here very clear to Mr. Fatalizadeh and to Mr. Galanoy and Mr. Kranjel, because it looks like people, they're afraid to talk to them eyes in the eyes. I'm going to tell him this in the eyes. Mr. Shafir, this is not about us against us. This is about us against them. Mr. Shafir, that was exactly what happened during the qualification. It is nothing different here. And one thing I want to tell you, there is one option here that I put on the table. If Mr. Kabhojan is not happy with me, we talk and I can go. Until then, I will defend Team Melli with the beliefs and with all my heart that I think are the best.
He says the question here is, do we have someone like Mr. Queiroz for our national team in the country to replace?
That question you need to address to Mr. Kabhojan.
Mr. Kabhojan supports you
absolutely, 1,000, and I support him as well. But one thing it is clear, I don't want to be the problem of this country. I don't want to be the cause of this misunderstanding. I am not here to create any conflict between me and the coaches. My goal, it is only one, it is to provide Team Melli with the best solutions in order to succeed. If the country or the football authorities, that they believe that I am the problem, no problem, I can sit and I can go. That only Mr. Galanoy and Mr. Kranjel and Mr. Fatalizadeh, they need to sit with I think they are the people in charge of this. If they believe, if the board of the federation, they give me instructions, but after nothing happened, who is really in charge? Clear, very clear. We are running out of time. The players are leaving this country. We need to do something before it is late. We can go by boat to Brazil. Yes, we can. But if we go by boat, when we arrive to Brazil, the World Cup is finished. So my challenge it is this. If I am the problem of Iranian football, please, I ask that Mr. Kabhojan sit with me, we shake hands and I can go.
نه اصلا من آخه اینو میدونم من آقای کفاشیان با من دوستن آقای تاج با من دوستن همه دوستتون دارم من تا نمیدونم چرا امکانات رو فراهم نمیکنم.
But if that is the question, please tell me what to do. Because one day they tell me to do one thing. Next day Mr. Kranjel said no. So
به خاطر اینکه یک روز به من میان میگن این کارو بکن، روز بعدیش آقای کرانچار میاد میگه نه.
Mr. Shafir,
واقعا کاملا هیچ
I need to answer to 80 million people. My responsibility is to answer to 80 million. You think if Mr. Taj listened to me, the league was a mess? No. The question now it is very simple. My responsibility it is to do the best for 80 million people that are behind me. I believe that this is not us against us. But I also come to unfortunately to a conclusion. If I am the problem, please tell me. Tell me in the newspapers. Don't tell me about FIFA rules. Don't make promises that you support financially the national team and then you divert. Was money that was coming from the government to support the national team was diverted to one club. Sure. So the only thing I want it is tell me. Don't put me in this situation. Today is 30th of January, right?
Yes.
And the World Cup starts in May, in June. We need to play against the best teams in the world. The best teams in the world. 21 players from Argentina, they are in England. All players of Bosnia, they are playing in the best leagues of Europe, German, England, Spain. We have 4 or 5 players playing abroad. Most of them, they don't even... So my question it is, with all respect to the Minister of Sport and the Mr. Kabhojan, what are your position in terms of the World Cup preparation? Should we follow the opinion of Mr. Kranjel and Mr. Galanoy or follow my opinion? I want to be clear to my dear and fellow and friends colleagues. I am not saying to do A or B. I just gave my opinion and they have a different opinion. I'm asking to all respect to the Minister of Sport and Mr. Kabhojan, tell me please what should I do? I repeat this because this is very important. Because all the time the blame came about Carlos Queiroz and against. I just deliver my opinion as the responsible to answer to this 80 million. And I repeat again, I want a simple question, answer, yes or no.